to Enlightenment of Change on webtalkradio.com. I'm your host, Connie Whitman. As always, I'm excited that you're joining us this week. Now, I hope as you listen to the show, listen, my guests and I get it. That word change can be really daunting, especially if the change is thrust upon you versus you choosing that change. Well, to help you navigate those tumultuous waters of change, I have a free gift for you. In the show notes, you're going to find my communication style assessment. Really important tool. Number one, you'll get a report which spotlights your just natural superpowers of how people are receiving your message. Kind of important when we're dealing with other humans. Flip side, there's a low score, and that lowest score is typically a blind spot where it's people that communicate 180 degrees different than you. How is your message landing for them? Very important information to have. So again, the link is in the show notes, my gift to you. And I hope it just makes you navigating change a little bit easier and with some ease and grace in your life. Now, to set the stage for my guests and my conversation, the motivational quote today is by Nicole Snow. And she says, "A small business is an amazing way to serve and leave an impact on the world you live in." Now, when I started my career 40 plus years ago, I had no network. I didn't even know why I needed to build a network of people that I could get to know and really ultimately help them. And that was always the first objective. So what incredible a journey of learning why people matter so much in business and why showing up and caring, and dare I even say loving, actually matters in business today, I think more than ever. So who is my amazing guest expert to talk about this? We're going to explore this topic of understanding why paying it forward generates new business opportunities and provides an introductions for president and owners of companies like Magic. I call it the magic wand. You have the power to create this type of dynamic relationships with this essence or idea of giving first. And yes, that's it. It's the concept of giving first. So my guest is Morris J. Elstien. Now, Morris, most of his career has been in Chicago. After attending Indiana University, his three first positions were in Owens Illinois Kraft Food and Maremont Corporation. Oh, that's a tongue twister, Maury. He became the consultant in the direct mail industry and eventually became president for 13 years. He took a leap of faith and took on a position with no pay, but 33.33% ownership. He's a gutsy guy. He bought out his partners after a year and a half and grew the company to 87 employees and then sold it 80 years ago, 16 years ago. Now, Morris recently created Morris Connect, teaching president, owners, and C-suites his methodology of paying it forward. Please help me welcome my new lovely friend, Maury, to the show. So, Maury, thanks for being on.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And, we were chatting before we recorded, so we're probably going to repeat ourselves to each other, but that's okay. I really want to dive in because what is the concept of Maury Connect? I love the word connect. And why is paying it forward so important?
Well, I think, thank God, every year you work and every time and every experience you have is part of your background. And thank God, I think I've gained a lot of information and a lot of habits over a hard period of time of learning what goes on in industry. And what I never can get past is what I heard when I was a kid growing up, that it's all about relationships. Mm. And I think that very few of us are successful in making our human resources work for us in growing our work environment. Most people try to network out of a duty rather than out of fun. Yeah. And they go to networking events and they see people they want to meet and they hand those people their business card. And it's a little discerning that those people are looking over their shoulders all during this few seconds together to see if there's more important people walking by. If you brand yourself as a connector, as somebody who makes introductions, it will stay with you and serve you for the rest of your life. If you learn the art of paying it forward, if you learn the art that I have of asking two important questions whenever you meet somebody in business. How can I help you and support the growth of your business? Who do I know that might be good for that growth that I can introduce you to? You've done something so important. You've helped change your being a salesperson to being a partner. And partners, as we all know, get treated much differently than salespeople. The second thing that you accomplish, with Connie and I have talked about this morning, is when you walk out of most business situations, meetings, you're trying to sell something. But obviously you're hoping to get something back, and that is a yes, a no, or maybe about the products or services you're selling. What if you could increase that and get something else out of each of those meetings? What if you could get introductions from the good offices of the people that you're talking to?
Yeah.
What if you walked out with the situations of someone saying to you, by the way, how can I help you? Are there people I know that you would like to meet? Because we all struggle with that one critical thing, meeting new people, meeting people that we can talk to. Presidents and owners of companies go to bed every night and wake up every morning thinking about growing their business. Nothing is more important to them than getting help growing that business. And if you can take on the role of offering that, even the suggestion is different and makes you a different person. Let me give you a quick example.
Yeah.
If you're deciding that you want to change your banking relationship, and you say to yourself, well, I'm going to do that, but I'm going to do it smart, and I'm going to interview 5 or 6 different bankers and see who fits me best. You interviewed the 5 or 6 bankers. They all obviously have the same color money green to lend. Most of them have the same possibilities in terms of extending different kinds of bank services to you. But there's one of those people who meets you and says, by the way, my bank and I believe in helping our clients grow their business. So I just want you to know that I'm going to be asking you all the time who I can introduce you to and who I can make a connection with that has possible business potential for you. Now your decision's pretty well made. You've met the 5 people. You know they all do the same thing, but one of them said to you, I'm interested in helping you grow your business. I want to make you more successful. I want to support that growth. There's no more 5 other people. There's nobody else. You're the person because you offered the one thing that that person wants more than anything else, the opportunity to meet people to help the company grow.
And I hope all my bankers, because most of my clients are banks and credit unions, Maury. I hope my bankers listening. Did you hear what he just said? Well, the people who are doing that have been trained by me, Maury, by the way.
Good.
But I'm teasing tongue in cheek a little bit, but really, my bankers out there, I hope you heard what Maury said, because a bank is a bank is a bank, just like any industry, we're doing the same thing. So what differentiates us from our peers out there? And the competition shouldn't matter. You should know what they're doing. But if you do it better than them, it doesn't matter. And the only way to do that, to differentiate yourself, is by giving first and serving first, and whatever that means in your industry that you're listening. I love that. That was such a great example too, Maury. But yeah, giving first. And the other thing I wanted to comment on, we had mentioned before we hit record, as you're leaving those meetings, right? It was a yes or no, maybe, or there's next steps, whatever that is, right, in your sales process with the client. But when you say that at the end, hey, listen, I kind of get a vibe of who you are. I'd love to introduce you to some people. Are you looking in a specific area to grow, a demographic or whatever? I'd love to share my network with you. That maybe will now maybe become a yes for sure. And that yes becomes not only a yes, but who might they refer as well, because they're getting to know you and how you're serving them. They know people who need the same service or products that you're offering. So the more we build those relationships and know each other, that's how we're going to get results on the back end, right? But it comes down to the relationship. So just a great story and an example. Love it. Just love it.
Thank you.
Why do you think that, because I know you work with leaders, presidents, CEOs, C-suites, et cetera. Why do you think that leaders just forget about this human resource that we all have it to some extent, and they're missing those business opportunities? Why? What do you see happening?
So I'm going to use another example if I can.
Sure, I love it.
There's a good friend of mine who happens to be an investment banker here in Chicago. His name is Tom Goldblatt, and he has over the years initiated a round table in his lobby of his office, which is quite large, and you can easily fit 25 people around the table. He called me about 7 years ago. I just finished having hip surgery, and he asked me if I wanted to come to the next meeting. Typically, the meetings are made up of 25 to 30 key executives in offices, C-level executives, and there's always a topic. Normally, the topic is, what do you think is going to happen this year in terms of our economics? And everybody gets up, gives a few minutes worth of what they personally do, and then gives the answers to the topic question. So I said, Tom, I'd love to come, but I'm going to probably get there a little late because I don't want to trip anybody up in the elevator with my walker. So I'm going to be there. I go to the meeting. I get there about 5 minutes late. I walk into Tom's lobby area, and there's a square table set around the area, and there's about 25 to 28 people, all people who are fairly well successful and very interesting people. And we go around the table. I'm, by the way, sitting to the left of Tom. I'm the last person on the group before Tom's conversation. We're sitting around the table. We all get up. We give our 1 minute elevator speech and talk about the economy. We sit down. I get up. I give my 1 minute, and I give my few sentences about the economy. I sit down. Tom stands up, and we know from previous experiences, Tom's probably going to take a little longer. And it's his right. He's hosting the group. So he gets up, he gives a 1 minute speech about his company. He concises all the opinions that have come around the room on the economy. And he looks up at the audience and he says, you know what? There's one person in this room who has a different way of looking at making introductions and connecting people for their business. And so I'm going to turn the meeting over to Maury Elstien. Completely unexpected. I don't think Tom knew for sure that I was going to come, and I certainly never expected that kind of an opportunity. So I got up and spent about 5 minutes talking about the human resources that we all have, that we all fall short on helping by paying it forward and asking how we can support their growth. At the end of the meeting, I was going to stay 5 minutes after in order, again, to get to the elevator without killing anybody. In those 5 minutes, 23 out of 28 people came up to me, handed me their card and said, can we have a conversation? It was amazing to see how many leaders of our business world simply forget that every one of the people they know probably could use their help, probably could use an introduction to someone who would be great for their business. And yet it happens day in and day out. Day in and day out, I make introductions to people, and they look at that person purely for business, but they forget about the introductions. And they forget about the fact that that person may not be the best connector, but you know what? They know good connectors. Right. So don't think there's a bad introduction. Don't think there's a bad situation when you're meeting somebody. There's always something good to know. My favorite 3 words, and I'm finished, you never know.
You never know. It's funny, like we're peers, right? We've been down. Where people introduce me when I speak, and they say, "Oh, Connie's a seasoned professional," which means old, right? So Maury, this is my new thing. I go, I'm hot and spicy, so you can use that if you want.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's cute, right? Recently, a colleague, I met her probably when I started my business 22 years ago. One of the first executives I had met, and she and I met like we knew each other. It was just one of those kismet kind of relationships. Fast forward, she worked for this very big bank now. Actually, she's retired. Kept in contact this entire time. So last week she emails me. I'm retired, but I'm sitting on several board of directors. These are my people, right? Of course you'd retire, but you don't retire. You pay it forward even in retirement.
Of course.
We have this executive director, and she needs some executive coaching. And I immediately thought of you, non-for-profit. So I said, jump on a call with me, give me more information. I just want to make sure I'm a good fit. Well, net, could I have helped her more? Yes. Did I know somebody who could help her and do even a better job? Yes. So I said to my friends, and she goes, but I want you. I go, I know that, but I'm telling you, I could do it. You're not going to get the results. I need to introduce you to my friend Mary. She has been in the non-for-profit for 50 years, and this is what she does. She does executive coaching with the executive directors. You're just going to get so much more refinement and really help this whole organization, let alone that executive director. And she's, you sure? So I'm trying to give you business. I said, I know, but I'm telling you, it would be bad business for me. It doesn't feel right when I know there's a better alternative. You don't think that my friend is going to keep trying to send me business? And now the other friend I referred, she's always looking to try to help me. But here's the important thing. I want everybody to listen that Maury and I are talking about. I don't do it with the intent of, well, what are you going to do for me now? That never even dawns on me. It's how can we help whatever that situation is that my friend Joanne, right, knows this person personally. It's her reputation. I want to honor that and support that so that now they look at her in a different, well, I mean, she's amazing, but you hope that they look at her as, holy crap, she's a really good resource for this organization. How else can we leverage her and the people she knows? You never know what's going to come from it. You never know. I love that, Maury. I love that.
So if you don't mind, I'm going to give everybody a fast suggestion on a test that you can take at home. Sure. That I think will kind of make this come to reality. Sure. If you went home this evening or during the daytime and you took an 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, you drew a line down the center of that sheet of paper. Then you took a mental inventory of all the people that you know that are C-level executives. You put their name down, the name of the company, what the company does. And you have a list, I don't care which side of that line you put the names on. And you take a look at that list and you go up to the top and there's somebody that you met 2.5 months ago. You had a great conversation, nothing happened. And now you call that person up and you say, Tom Jones, let's say, Tom, I've been thinking about you. And I've been thinking about your company. Actually, I've been thinking more about your company. And I took a kind of survey of some of the people that I know. And I found 3 people on my list that I think you would like to meet that could be good for your business growth. Would you like me to make those introductions? Now, there's probably no Tom in the world that's going to say no to that. Now, he might be asking himself, what's the motive? What is he trying to do? What's he get out of it? You hang up the phone. What's Tom thinking? Let me tell you what Tom's thinking. Tom's saying to himself, this has never happened to me in my business career. I've never had a situation where someone called me up out of the blue and said, I want to help you grow your company. I've got 3 introductions that I'd like to make for you. Number one, I got to think a little bit more about Maury because maybe he's an important person in my life and we should be doing business.
Yes.
And tonight I'm going to play cards with 5 guys who happen to own 5 companies. And at that card game, before we get started, I say to them, guys, you can't believe what happened to me today. Never happened before. Almost a stranger called me up and said they wanted to pay it forward. They wanted to make introductions for me that could be good for my company growth. Any of you guys want to meet Maury? So if you can pay it forward, if you can find people that will have value in meeting each other, do it. You can never get hurt. You can only have positive results. You can only grow your own business because what Connie said is you don't do it out of wanting to get something. But you know what? It's not such a bad thing if you get something out of it.
It's beautiful.
Don't leave a meeting with a yes or no or a maybe. Leave a meeting with a relationship you've built as a partner where someone's going to want to help you whenever they can.
Yeah. And I think we forget how simple it is to be human and maybe even more important, being kind. Just be kind. And you, if you come from that place of, this is my kind of my mantra, you don't know me very well, but when I published my book, the first chapter, a sales book, right? The first chapter was love. And I think the first sentence says something like, yeah, Connie, love, what the heck are you like? What are you talking about? And then my second sentence is, if you're not selling from a place of love, care, and respect, please stop because you're doing it wrong, and read on if you want to learn more, right? It's a little jokey in the front, but that word love, like we forget that word love is important in life. It's important in business too. When we show up and we care and what's that quote, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. All these little quotes out there, Zig Ziglar, Wayne Dyer, whoever, you're influenced by. These quotes are there for a reason because it really matters. And being human and caring, I think, is at the core of that. So, yeah.
I love that. I just love it. So, I've met 9,600 presidents and owners for companies over the 40 years that I've been in Chicago. And each one of them has been asked to give me a paragraph. And I asked them two things. I want you to tell people why they should deal with you. Forget about your company, why they should deal with you. And then I want you to tell them what makes your company unique. So the first thing is to tell them about you. Make them think that you are, or know that you are, a caring, loving person who they can trust.
Yeah.
So trust is key to everything you do in this world and to your business efforts as well. If you can do that, then you have a library of friends that you've developed a relationship with that you can pass on to your other friends, that you can pass on to your other business associates. It will create a different world for you, I promise you, if you learn to be a partner, not just a salesperson. It'll change your life. I, by the way, also just finished a book called Meaningful Business Connections. And it's a short book made so that you can pick it up, get in the plane. When you get out of the plane, you've read the book, and hopefully it's made some kind of change.
A couple of things I just want to address there. The first of all, a short book, I love it because we're very good at absorbing information. I think most of us can't get out of our own way to execute the information that we just learned. So having that little short book, I think, is brilliant. And we could put the link to the book in the show notes too, Maury, if that's something that you'd like me to do. I'm happy to do it. But
Sure.
I love that. Get on a plane, read a book, get off. How are you while you're waiting, right, to get off the plane that you're sitting there, they tell you stay seated. How are you going to execute what you just learned? And I think that's an important piece too. We're having the show, we're sharing, between the two of us, we have, well over 80 years of experience in business of some sort. And if people don't take these stories, recommendation ideas and apply them immediately, I'm not saying 3 weeks from now, I'm saying immediately, nothing's going to change for them. So I love that you have that short book for sure. And I also like how that word caring keeps coming up, because I think we really do have to let people know what we're about. Nobody's like me. Nobody's like you. I don't want to be like anybody else. I only know how to be me, right? I'm sure you feel the same way. So unless people understand where I'm coming from, right? Like they laugh at me. They go, oh yeah, sales, love, care, and respect. And I go, yes, I live and breathe that. And if you don't, I'm telling you, your life is a heck of a lot harder than it needs to be. And you're not having enough fun because you should be doing business with people that you love and that you want to spend time with. And it sounds like, I think you do this too, but I'm going to ask you to comment. My friends, my CEOs, we go out to dinner, my husband, they know my kids. I become friends with my clients because I don't know any other way to show up, because I care about them. Forget about the business. I care about them as humans. I care about their families. I want to help their kids after they graduate, right? And it's not looking for anything. I love people. And if we could all show up in this way of giving and caring and giving first and paying it forward, holy crap, how freaking wonderful would this world be? How wonderful would business be?
It would be different. It would be a different world, and it would be a different climate for growing business. We entertain a lot. We bring my clients together with other clients so that they can meet each other. And I've noticed over the years, when I meet somebody new, within 5 minutes, the conversation gets into, what do you do for a living? Are you a plumber? Are you a president of a manufacturing operation? And what I've trained myself to do, and hopefully everybody will get a little of this themselves, is I've trained myself to listen to what they tell me and immediately think of who I know that they would like to meet. When you make that change, when you're positive about thinking about the other person first and helping them, I just can't say it enough. It changes your world. I get to meet 8 to 10 presidents of companies every single week. I have the greatest job in the world. because there's nothing more fun than learning about somebody who's been successful or who's on the road to being successful. And the next thing that's most fun in the world is introducing them to somebody they don't know that really will be good for them to meet. So it's all out of this caring that you talk about, Connie, and being happy that you get to be in a world where you get to meet great people.
Yeah, and it really does make the journey of life a heck of a lot more fun, because here's the other thing. Times, like, we've all had bad times. We've all had hard spots, right? Financial, or other words, physical, like you had the surgery and you still were functioning and you were still getting invited, and they were very caring because of your situation. I feel like if we could be more human, then I don't know the right word, but I think if we could be more human and kind, I think it goes a long way. This corporate model, and it's outdated in so many regards. You know, the Industrial Revolution, it was put your nose to the grindstone, put 10-hour days in, and walk away making $5 or whatever it was. I think we have to change the paradigm of how we think and how we run organizations. And if I can, and I think I need to introduce you to this gentleman as we're chatting. His name is Kevin Hancock. He is the CEO of Hancock Lumber. It's one of the oldest businesses in the United States. So ancestrally, he was, he's the CEO because his great grandfather had started the business. Well, anyway, he was in his 30s. His dad had passed suddenly, and now all of a sudden he's in the role of CEO. And after a few years, trying to get his sea legs and figure out what the heck he was doing, he got a disorder in his voice called spasmodic. It's a disorder. So when he speaks, it's very disjointed and you could just about understand him. Well, initially it was quite painful. So he's now the new CEO. All these executives, the division heads, are coming to him. What do we do with this? What do we do with this? And he said, Connie, it was so painful. All I would say is, well, what do you think? They would come back with, well, I think we should do this and strategize. And he said, the irony of it, as soon as they'd answer, he thought, well, I wouldn't even have thought of that. That's brilliant. And he'd say, go do that. Literally, these were the conversations. Well, fast forward, it's been probably about 13 years, but I met him about 3 years ago. In that decade of time, he calls it dispersing the power, he has a 97% retention rate of all of his employees, from the lowest level all the way to the executives that report to him. He takes vacations and pays it forward with the Indian reservations out in the Midwest, bringing lumber and helping them build infrastructures, right? So he's paying it forward with his time off. Net, in 10 years, his company made net profit more than all of his ancestors, the 100 and whatever years they were in business, in 1 decade after losing his voice. So one of the questions the first time I met him, he was on my show, and I said, do you have any regrets? And he said, losing my voice was the best thing I ever could happen to me. It was such a blessing, although you don't know it at the time, because look at my organization, but look at my people, they're thriving. My executives are now paying it forward and doing more in their local communities, because now they have the means and functionality and the authority to give and donate, et cetera. Isn't that a beautiful story? I think you need
It is. It's a great story.
Yeah.
It reminds me of good restaurateurs who run successful restaurants and don't allow their people that work for them to be able to do the right things for their guests. So for me, the right things for building a loyalty is going up to the table, thanking the person for being there. If they're a constant a customer of the restaurant, buying them a drink, and doing little things that make them ingratiated for the services that you allow. And I find that in a great deal of the newer restaurants, the managers and owners have forgot about those little things. So they don't empower the other managers who work at the restaurants to do those things. And it's a shame, because being human is kind of universal. I mean, we can all understand, learn, and how to do things that are the right things to do. And so many times we don't set the example. So when you get a chance to set the example for employees, I had a facility of 875 people working with me on the company that I sold about 15 years ago. And the hardest thing to do was to let go of the reins, trust the people, like your friend you talked about, who said, you probably got the answers yourself. What are they? What would you do? it's, common sense just permeates virtually everything we do, and we forget about it sometimes. We don't rely on our experiences and the things that we've learned over the years. But it's not hard to say you can never get hurt helping other people. You can never get hurt helping business people grow their company. You can never get hurt by making good introductions. So that's how I try to lead my life, by telling people how valuable the people they know are and help them. The help will come back many times over, and the change in relationships you have when you've given instead of just gotten, it's a game changer.
They did, I want to say, they did a survey. It might have been the Gallup had done a poll, and they said, what brings you more joy, getting a pair of diamond earrings or giving a pair of diamond earrings, whatever the survey was. And it worked out to be like 80% of those surveyed, and they do ginormous surveys, that the feeling of goodness in their heart, like their heart growing, was the essence of giving. And it could have been, it didn't have to be lavish. It could have been just buying a flower for someone that seems sad that day, right? And bring it into the office, say, I know you had a loss, here's some flowers for you, or candy or whatever. It was simple little things, not grandiose gestures. And 80% said that they felt better and were more alive and felt love in their heart by giving, not by receiving. And like, stats don't lie, man, right? Like, numbers don't lie. My friend Kevin with his business, dispersing the power, the profitability doesn't lie. Why is that? Because we're letting people own, I think we're letting people find their voice to not only advocate for self, but advocate for those that can't, right? That's really what we're talking about, and helping others just level up. The Roosevelt quote, right? As the tide rides, the ship rides together. It's something like that. This is what we're talking about. I mean, it's all in that same element. We're out of time. Maury, I love you. I love you, my friend. So don't tell your wife that. That's our secret. But and I won't tell my husband. Here's we're out of time, but really quick, are there any just last words of wisdom, because you're brilliant and you're wise and you've been doing this a long time? Especially the younger folks listening, or the parents that have kids that have just graduated, what would be your biggest piece of advice?
So a couple axioms. Number one, always give first, pay it forward. Number two, remember those two important questions. How can I support and help you grow your business? Who do I know that you would like to meet? Be a good person every day.
Be a good person every day. Because you know what? Our kids and grandkids are watching. And we want them to be productive and healthy humans, right, as they go forward and make an impact in the world. We have a lot of power, parents, so listen up, right? Listen, if you need more Maury in your life, which I don't know how you can't, please, if you have a question directly for him, email him at MauryConnects.com, website MauryConnect.com. I will put that in the show notes. Additionally, can you talk real quickly about the beautiful non-for-profit that you were sharing with me? And I'll put that in the show notes if you guys want to donate. I love it. Go ahead, Maury, tell us what it's about.
I am a board member of a non-for-profit group with the initials CKAKC. It's an organization that allows children who are undergoing cancer to have the experience of camp 1 week out of every summer. And we bring them in with doctors, counselors, nurses who all volunteer that week free to help these children. We have two wonderful organizations, hotels here in Chicago, the Drake and the Palmer House, who actually take the furniture out of 30 rooms or 40 rooms in each place, replace them with bunk beds, with places for the counselors and the nurses to be at the hotels all during this week. And we take them out into the world of Chicago, introduce them to swimming and SWAT teams and firemen and Shed Aquarium, and give them a chance to be like every other kid who gets to go to camp.
Oh, you're making me cry. That's lovely. We are going to put that in the show notes, and everybody, you better donate, because this is an amazing thing. Again, ripple effect, pay it forward. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that, Maury. I didn't mean to get emotional. I'm a dork today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay, so you need Maury in your life, MauryConnect.com. Check it out. There's all good things happening in his world. So connect with him, join him, and be part of the magic that he's creating out in the world. Maury, truly a delight. Thank you so much for being on. It's been a joy.
Thank you, Connie. I really appreciate the opportunity to try to get this word out about human resources
Oh,
and paying it forward.
we need to do it, brother. We need to do it. We need to change the world one person at a time that's listening. That's all we need to do, right? And
Absolutely.
and thank you again. And I hope you will join me weekly as we question, build, and discover together, no matter where you are on your journey of change. Truly, truly, my guests and I are here to support you and help you navigate that change from a little bit easier perspective. The information that Maury shared today and the questions he shared, they're beautiful, they're wonderful, they're insightful. If you do nothing with them, guess what? It's information that's in your brain that is not going to create any of the magic that Maury and I spoke about today. Please take those questions. Please take his advice. Make that list of people you know. Reach out to them, pay it forward, and I promise you magic will happen on the back end. Thank you for listening to Enlightenment of Change with me, your host, Connie Whitman, on webtalkradio.com. I truly am honored to have you on this journey of change, and I hope that my guests and I provide just ideas and strategies and hopefully inspire you to take new action. Challenge your comfort zone, do something new. And I'm telling you, life changes miraculously right in front of your eyes. I love you all. Thank you for tuning in. Maury, thank you so much. And I'll see you all next week.